It's been 3 long years, do ya still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me.
Did you know that every 7 minutes a black person is born in this country without soul? Hello, I'm B.B. King. Won't you help Don Simmons and the thousands of others that suffer from this tragic disorder? Its cruel symptoms can strike anyone. Let's take a look.
I think the Republican Party has done one heck of a job. Don't you, June?
I'll say, Ward, we Republicans have turned this country around.
Safety and good mileage are the two things I looked for in a new car. That's why I bought a Volvo station wagon.
Hi, I'm president of the David Hartman fan club here in Glendale. I've even met David Hartman once. What a neat guy.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cherry. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you.
This is B.B. King saying, won't you please give, so that Don Simmons here and so many others can become useful members of society.
Or below me a kiss, and that's lucky too.
Write to Blacks Without Soul. Post Office Box 1305A, Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.
Look, this is just an informal chat. We were wondering what you were working on in your lab.
Well, I've invented a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Right, and what's positive about that?
Well, it's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, could it also give worms to ex-boyfriends?
This is a drug for the world to give worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, great. Thanks for stopping by.
You just don't get it here.
Andy Warhol and John Waters, in conjunction with Saliva Productions, present Jim Barrie's beloved children's classic, Peter Pan.
I think I see him. No, that's just a cloud. No, it's not. It's Peter.
I'm flying. Look at me way up high, suddenly here am I, I'm flying.
Yes, it's Divine, starring as the boy who wouldn't grow up.
I won't grow up.
I won't grow up.
I don't want to go to school.
I don't want to go to school.
Just to learn to be a parrot.
Just to learn to be a parrot.
And recite a silly rule.
And recite a silly rule.
Eat.
anything.
But I'm not a fudge packer.
Then why are you packing fudge?
I'm not. I'm a very busy actor. I'm just here trying to get away for a weekend and do some fly fishing.
Dude, you're in a fudge factory packing fudge.
Oh, that does it. I will sue you.
For what?
You can't just call somebody a fudge packer and get away with it. Hey, is that fudge packer Tom Cruise?
What?
Registered commies, not guns.
Oh, he was probably a member of the National Rifle Association. There was a group that helped criminals get guns so they could shoot citizens. It was a public service.
This is where he every day I'm wearing a necklace like this, and he's in this urn.
Is his ashes?
Yeah, his ashes right here and here. Yep. So both of my grandpas right here.
What's that other thing on the necklace?
It's a Punisher emblem.
What's that about?
I like the Punisher just because he's he takes his the law into his own hands to punish the people that wronged him.
Let's get back to
right. So these punks.
Yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual. Wow. But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot them in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway, you guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. Everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs, and this is full of pep. We're gonna start with high jump. Just watch this chorus steps.
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents, our 162nd consecutive Tuesday. We get together every week at 8 o'clock. Today, it's just going to be a normal show. We're not going to be talking about anything too important. I've got a couple things I want to let you all know about. But ultimately, it's just comic books, comic books, comic books. I hope everybody has been doing well since the last time I saw you. Please let me know that you're here in the chat or after the fact. Let me know that you are here to watch the show. And if there's anything that comes up that's interesting, maybe let me know about it. If you want me to talk about anything, maybe let me know about it. I have something from a viewer, a couple comments from last week's show. We're going to get on with it real quick. But for those of you that are new here, we aren't just a comic book YouTube show. We are a comic book YouTube show that's based in Berkeley, California, because we are a store in Berkeley, California. Fantastic Comics is open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 to 5 p.m. We have Instagram. We have Twitter, Substack. That's a good one. And, if you're inclined at all, you might want to let yourself be seen.
My last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh? Paisanos.
650 you change.
Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisanos. So here's a little something.
Antonio!
Si!
Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patrona!
You don't want to be like George Costanza. You want to be seen. Let us know that you want to give us money by going to our Patreon page. Give whatever you want. It's awesome if you do. It helped us during the pandemic. It's helped us after the fact, and we've done stuff recently for the show for you all. We are going to be having a pretty cool show, if I must say. I think it's the only time it's happened on YouTube. And we're going to have great fun with it. And I can't wait to talk about it. But we're going to get into it in a little bit. Like, I might mention it. I did last week. Anyway, we're a comic book store. And any little bit helps. We talk about things that are going on in the comic book store. And the very beginning of the show, we have a little segment that we like to call That's right. This is the Wrestling Minute. And, we talk about wrestling at the store. I've had customers that went to the AEW show last Sunday in San Francisco. And there was all sorts of wrestling in the Bay Area that was AEW related. I'm not the biggest AEW fan. It seems like almost anybody that is really is and can't stand anything else. Almost like it's a badge of courage to enjoy their product and hate on almost any. Well, we know what we're talking about when we say hate. Hating the big box store wrestling company. A former employee of the major box store company went to Japan and won their championship belt over there. First match, just won, just like that. Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Moné. And this was the conversation I had with one of those AEW heads. He thought that it would be really awesome because the conversation is that Jade Cargill needs to learn how to wrestle even more than she's been taught now. And by going over to Japan, Daniel Bryan said this, that if she were to go over to Japan, she would really learn a lot and it would really help her in ring. My buddy said, oh yeah, I would love to see her team up with Mercedes Moné. And then he said the thing, all right, it's fine. When it was Vince McMahon and he was putting all the Mexican people together or all the black people together or all the European people together, we kind of said things about him for that. But it's like anytime like a superstar black performer goes over where there might be another one, even then that people just want to like put them together. It's just a thing. Anyway, but what got me was that he said it would be mutually beneficial. Now, let me ask you, an up-and-comer that looks like this, for sure, is going to get a rub from a champion at the highest level of any company, right? Mercedes Moné. What would Mercedes Moné get from Jade Cargill, though, other than a challenge later on? Maybe a program, but is that going to really rub her anyway? I mean, she's already at the top. I just thought that was a little hokey. I don't agree with the premise, and I don't think that they should ever touch unless they're going up against each other, and one of them should definitely be a strong heel, whereas the other one's a strong face. And both of them are wishy-washy at best all the time anyway. Of course, there's WrestleMania coming. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff like that in the future. But for now, that was the Wrestling Minute. That's right. Let me put this back up. Take Sasha off. I know I can't stop calling her Sasha. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody who joins us after the fact. Thank you for the people that are just, shy and don't want to say hi. But most importantly, I want to say to y'all,
we didn't come to borrow any money. We didn't come to borrow any dough. We didn't come to borrow any trouble. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh, hello to you, Mr. Penny. Please don't think that we are hammy. We just stopped in from Alabama. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh boy, you said it. We just stopped in to say hello. And don't forget it. We just stopped in to say hello. And I'm hello. Hello. Goodbye.
oh, hello, everyone. Let me, oh, wow. It shifted on me just a little bit. Let me just move it just right there. Don't fall. Everything's great. Hey, everybody. That's how you spell my name in the corner. Uel, U-E-L. It's all right if you spell it wrong. And at Fantastic Comics, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Substack, all those things. Fantastic Comics. Fantastic Comics. I have been a comic book fan all my life. I cut my teeth reading by reading comic books. A lot of Spider-Man. A lot of probably Batman, Green Lantern, Superman, Justice League. I remember a lot of. We are actually going to be cracking a slab in just a little bit. You can tell it's old because it's got the first movie of Star Trek. And this is actually the follow-up issue to the very first book of this series that I ever purchased. And it took me a long time to actually get the second issue or the follow-up story. Like, took me years, but, it's just one of those things. And it, you get multiple copies too. But it's tough when you're going backwards and, you don't want to spend too much. Yeah, but I'm really excited. It's all about taking comic books out of these plastic pieces of I don't know. What do I want to call it? Junk. All right. So yeah, we're a comic store. Hello to my customers. Thank you very much for joining us. Why don't we actually talk about a couple things? I got tweeted at DM style, but I was going to say hello first. Let's go to that. Let's do that. Why do what we don't always do? Yo, says Fantinuum here early. A day just like any other was what I called this on the YouTube channel. So what are you trying to say there, Ewell? All days look the same? You deist? I'm sure all hours, weeks, and months look the same to you too. It's all about the order book and how much I'm able to get done. And everything's ordering, shifting, checking in, breaking down, pricing up, putting in, and coming home. Mostly. It's rough. It's tough, hard work, but hopefully it will work out in the end. And Fantoom's one of my great customers. Sick Media Comics is here, present. Awesome. I hope you like some of those videos. You're not here all the time, but those are tried and true. I don't get dings, copyright claims. And I'm trying to get those things set up perfectly so that when we are monetized soon, I won't get 30 cents taken away from me. I'm here to say hi. Mr. Stickdit, hello. Sick Media wants to let us know. I want to think that Ewell starts 10 minutes to set up, or it could be taking a big S. Yes, you can say shit. It's after 5 minutes in the show. Well, actually, I think it was 15 is what we like to say before we start cursing. Let's see. That's said it twice. That's very interesting. Battle Buddy is here. I'm tired of the rain. Need comics this week to make me feel brighter. Supposedly tomorrow is going to be okay-ish. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. I know. Comics and rain is horrible. Last week was horrible for the store. We had a really good Wednesday. Everybody braved the rain then, but Saturday was piss poor. Sunday wasn't much better, and those were horribly rainy days. Anybody that knows my very small store, we usually put things outside, dollar bin, we like to call it. Discounted comics, discounted graphic novels just out there on the cart. Good things too. And, you can't put that out. And then it's inside the very small store. And because of the way it's situated anyway, it's hard to get to things without me helping you entirely. And that just makes it even more difficult. So everything about the rain is horrible for me and my store. But, Talking Souls here. Excellent. We're going to talk about Jasper, who's here in chat, saying hi, chat. Hello, Yule. And also wants to know, do you sell Funkos, Yule? Thoughts on them getting landfilled? I don't think Funko's necessarily in trouble, like some people might say. But that is a ton of Funkos being thrown away. And I mean, they just could have been gifted, or, well, maybe not, because, if there's insurance involved or tax write-offs involved, you can't just, charity that stuff. But you could have charitied it, and then, it's a shame that they were doing that. It's a shame that it's plastic. How can that not be repurposed to make more Funko Pops? It's just, all of it sounds horrible. I do sell some Funkos, but not Funkos I'm not willing to bring home with me. So there are some I will take a chance on, and I'll get like 3. Again, in my very small store, 3 is like a lot. But a lot of the times, things will be something I personally want also. So the only JSA movie, only DC movie thing I think I have really is this Dr. Fate. But that helmet is pretty slick, I think. And, that's the thing about Funko Pops. They pretty much look like just every other one. So I make sure, to get a good one. So we have a squanchy, pre and post roided up version. And sometimes I get some gifts. Hopefully they're ones I totally dig. The Stan Yahtzee Tron one. That one's a good one. And then I have a whole bunch over here. Check out my Twitter, Big Blue Yule. Here, I'll put that up really quick. If you do, I'll post that tomorrow. This is if you need more me in your life. There's a lot of me. I was on Thinking Critical on Saturday talking about comic book stuff as far as the store is concerned, talking about the diamond discount and their shipping and all that stuff. Of course, we talked about it the last couple of weeks, but I went pretty hard. And when that's the morning and it's not this show, I kind of feel like I can go a little harder sometimes. But these opinions or things that I say, I try and make factual and not too opinion based, unless it's just me saying it. Jilby Pill. Did Gizmo have dinner? He did have dinner. Gizmo's my dog. You come into the store, especially on the not so rainy days, and you're more than likely to see Gizmo. And then Jasper says, I'm listing Funkos on eBay right now. Put your account in the chat. Let people know. Get rid of them. Get rid of them now. But don't worry about that landfill stuff. It was probably 5 select ones. Probably a lot of Batman. Oh, damn. We shouldn't have made the Stranger Thing cast one yet again. I mean, they do all just look the same. I mean, seriously. I wanted to play a lot of those videos up front, again, for the people that have watched multiple episodes. We get a little stalled out on them. So it's a bit of a bummer. I would like to see if I can't get this one up before I introduce a guest. Also, I want to talk about Jasper's comics, his comic concerns, and share them with you guys so that maybe you don't even know about this kind of thing. So let me just see. Maybe I don't have it here. Maybe I have it here. Sorry. This is expected, right? And like I said, we're gonna kill it another CGC slab. Won't that be awesome? Before we get to Jasper's comics, I want to play this video. Let's see if this will work.
Why? You couldn't even pitch one inning. What's your name? I want you. It's Eugene. You're a great pitcher. Oh, thank you.
It's Eugene. Keep or yeet. Oh, we're going to do another one of those. People, he has come in with so much junk, and some of it is really, really good. Venditti and Tomasi Green Lantern stuff was probably the stuff that I think is the greatest. But there have been some really good books. I'm not going to do it just yet. Keep or yeet. We're going to talk about Jasper's comic concerns. Dun, dun, dun. First up, he showed this picture. He's all, look at this comic book and tell me if you don't think that it's cut. So a lot of comic book can be trimmed, especially when you're buying online. Either the person doesn't know what they're doing and they're just trying to manicure it so it looks better. Normally, when you see that type of thing, it's probably going to be on a Marvel's 1960s comics, 70s comics, where they have Marvel chipping. It's very common. Certain comic companies in different eras did different things to their printing. We're going to see very interesting allowances in the future for comics that are coming out right now, because a lot of them are printed on some god-awful shit paper. And coupled with the rich, lavish coloring and dark colors that are available these days more than before, you get more wrinkles, especially when it's a black cover. All right, so had a couple close-ups. He wanted us to take a look specifically. Let me get a sip right here. Cheers, everybody. Especially up by the Comics Code Authority, for those of you that haven't read old comics. These were installed by the comic book companies so that they could let everybody know that these comics were A-okay for your kids. And anybody that didn't have this and didn't subscribe to the rules that made a Comics Code approved book, then they weren't going to have it. And it's just like giving an X-rated, like RoboCop was an X-rated movie until they cut out like the 17 seconds of Ed 209 shooting that fool up in the office building at the very beginning of the movie. So it was going to get an X-rated. If I'm not mistaken, Scarface was an X-rated movie. I can't imagine it made a shit ton, but I can't tell you that one for sure. Also take a look up here on the upper left-hand side, and you can see there's very little black, and there is black, but then when you get all the way to the end, you don't see that. So he's like, has this been cut? Have I been ripped off? Let's take a look at it entirely. All right. Oh, wait. There was a better picture. This one. That was the first one. Jeez Louise, y'all. All right, this is the last one. Firstly, I think that this comic book is probably legit. Jasper talked to other people, and I think it is pretty much assumed that it is. Number one, I would say get another 40-cent comic from Marvel during that time and size it up. It's probably the right size, and it's just off-centered. And that happens a lot. But I also talked to Talking Soul, and he said, and he's done printing and a lot of stuff like on shirts and paper and CDs and records and all sorts of stuff. a dabbler of all things. And Talking Soul said that usually, like I said, he said, we don't have the cut and capability of a print press. Okay, so any normal person doing this can't just cut it without giving a slant to the book. So if you don't have another 40-cent Marvel from this time, from this, I think it's 79.80. If you don't have one of those, then open up the book. Just kind of open it up, and if you see that there is, let's see right here, like it's slanted down, then as it's open like this, like a sandwich, open face sandwich, then that would be a way to find out. And unfortunately, if you're buying this online, especially, it's really tough to. It looks like a good book though, and there would be no reason to really cut that up. I think this could use a pressing though. You see all those lines. If you wanna bump this up a grade or two, you'd get it pressed. I don't know if the back is what that looks like, but it looks like a really nice book. Funny enough. Wait, let me. Hey, Jill, is the heat on? I hated this comic book, this issue. I was reading Daredevil when Frank Miller took over, and it was bi-monthly, and it was coming out. It was hot, people liked it. People liked his art, but he drew, to me, a very ugly Hulk. And it's not that I necessarily need a beautiful Hulk, but when you're a kid, you kind of want a normalized representation of something often. You don't need something skewing what you know. And then depending on what kind of reader you are, you might take that with you going forward. Now, I am not like that anymore. And some people that were different, I still liked anyway as a kid. But when I got to like 14 or 15, it was that's when I really, Sienkiewicz was working, Tony Salmons was doing stuff, all sorts of people were out there. And, and then in the 90s, I liked Ted McKeever and all that other stuff. But the Hulk in here made me put this down. And then I didn't pick it up until the first Elektra, I do believe. And then I got a few, and then I started buying it around 180 and up. Then I have to go back, get the other ones. And I didn't read that Gladiator story until a lot longer. Let's go back to comments really quick. I foresee a future, Jill says, where there will be a documentary digging up some Funko Pops like the E.T. video game, for sure. There was a lot of people talking about it, that style also. Let's see. Talking Soul says, I may let some sketch covers go. Not sure yet. I semi-hoard comic. Yeah, he hoards comics, all right. I know this. And it's not just comics, right? I'll promote after listings are tightened up. I just did a blitz listing. All right. Understood. I just DM'd more on the topic. CGC will slab them. Oh, that's okay. I understand. That's the whole thing. That the conundrum is, I know I don't make as much. Like these things here, these are for me. And I want to take them out anyway, and I always have. It's just, I didn't know how to do it. But then one day we said, fuck it, let's do it. And that's how it is. I just, this is my personal collection. I'll put it in Mylar. I'll take it out. I'll look at it. I'll look at the ads. All the things that make a comic book good is, all partially, opening it to me. Personal collection. But I could send the book out. Like I have a Wolverine, Incredible Hulk Wolverine, Tom McFarlane issue, with the claws. And I have it priced at $300. But if it came back the grade, I think, or better, it would be $600, $700, maybe $1,000 if stupid people are bidding that day. So, I mean, it's pretty darn good grade. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I've graded it properly. I haven't overstated what it is or anything like that. And when you get it back, it should be very good. Let me tell you about so I do pressing sometimes. And I have a customer that bought some books that I already pressed. I already priced it, and when he got them back from CGC, it was either above or the grade that I said it was. And really pricing or grading something that's really easy to grade is something shitty or something beautiful. And anybody can do that. When you got something good. Now, when I talk to people that say, hey, I got some comics to sell, and I said, well, how much would I be able to get for them? Depends on how many you have, depends on, the condition of the book. They always say, oh, these are in great condition. They're in bags and boards. Some of the worst comic books I've ever seen have been in bags and boards. Okay. I'm like looking at it. I'm telling you, well, just let you know, this is worthless. This may have been worth money at one time, but the condition of this guarantees it's not worth anything. That type of stuff. I see it all the time. I mean, I always talk with my brother that we should never accept any comic books that come in a garbage bag. Is that volume 1 of Magnus? And I can't read that other one upside down. Let's just get rid of these pictures so I can bring some other up. Why don't we, since we're talking about it right now, and I'm worried about all the videos, let's do this. All right, we're going to crack the slab right now. Hopefully this will work pretty well. Oh my God, the floor, I dropped some stuff. And I'm working on some stuff. So the book that we're going to be getting off the grid is X-Men number 124. Arcade has kidnapped the X-Men and put them in his pinball machine. And Colossus, at the end of the first issue, has been brainwashed into becoming a proletariat, and he hates his capitalist friends. This is 124, the first issue. I know, make it big, sorry. This is the second and concluding issue of this storyline. Don't worry, everybody goes back to normal at the end. It's got a good claustrophobic scene in it, if I remember correctly. And Cyclops is awesome. And Wolverine loses it, like the animal that he is. So you'll probably have seen videos where people take saws and really sharp tools to this thing. But I just take a real thin screwdriver and a hammer and go, And then hopefully that's all I really needed to do. Although I could have kept it in. And there we go. All right, let's see if I can just get this out without bending it. I say, you guys, unless you're worried about your collection being sold by a loved one, it makes perfect sense why you would want to get these graded. I personally think it makes a lot more sense for things like baseball cards, because nothing is obscured from the set, from the slabbing when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you go and you slab video games, I think it's a good idea, again, because this is interesting because this came off a little bit, this bit. There you go. It's a 9.4. The reason why I am cool, usually I settle with 9.4s. That's the minimum that I want. And the reason before that is I got only one of my own collection slabbed, comic book slabbed. Well, actually two. But the only one I wanted to do was my New Teen Titans, the first Nightwings, because I felt like it was a great representation of what the entirety of my comic books from my childhood were like in condition, at least the ones I kept for condition. And so 9-4 was the number it came back at. And so 9-4 right here. If I would have kept, and the thing is I've gotten rid of comics and all in fits of rage. We're running low on comic books, but I have a customer who overbought some Spider-Man, which is what I collect, and he's going to sell me 3 of them, and I should be getting those for a pretty darn good price, considering I don't have to go to a convention to get it. I don't have to go online to get it and have an auction or eBay prices or anything like that. And I told him, I know you got effed on shipping, so, we'll work it out. And, that's another thing that, the store and the show, and we'll make the store pay for it. It's all for this show and for you out there. And that was Crack the Slab. Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to be talking about new comic books soon, but first, let's keep or yeet. So, Magnus Robot Fighter, if I remember correctly, that was Dynamite that put that out. Let's see if I'm right. Magnus did not get kept by Dark Horse. Oh, okay, very good. Oh, wait, these might be the old one. Oh, no. So these are the Valiant ones. Oh, that's right, because Valiant didn't get to keep Magnus Robot Fighter. So Dark Horse was reprinting these. That's right. And they were doing the old-ass ones, too. All right, very good. What volume is that? Number 1? Just say yes or no. Yeah, keep it. Marvel in the Decades, keep it. I love that. It's very reminiscent of the Son of whatever they are, the Marvel books that Stanley would, but the Son of Origins, the Origins books. And you get some of the first issues right here. So look at that, Deadpool by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness. That's like $100 book. So just that alone is going to be in this issue. Boom. Magneto. Well, no, we'll go. Do not keep. Cullen Bunn can. I mean, what do you guys think in the chat? Would you come to my store and buy some Magneto by Cullen Bunn? I don't think so. Magnus. I mean, nobody's going to be buying Magnus. Fred Van Lente. Let's say no. Yeah, Dynamite. See, I told you Dynamite put it out. No. Fred Van Lente was kind of hot. Keep Mr. and Mrs. X. Yes. That's Kelly Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. And who's the artist? Balzadua. Pinna, too. I like him. It's all right. But yeah, keep those books. The kids love it. Deathstroke. Is that Christopher Priest? They're kind of okay. Yeah, keep it. Yeah, it's good looking art, but Material, no. Show me the writer. Is it Caught? No, thank you. This should have been how I chose things when I was buying them the first time. Mass Effect, yeah, keep them. That's one of those things that people come in and actually ask about out of the blue. Holy cow, look at that. A Hickman Avengers. Bring it in. Yeah, those are great. Yeah, Hickman, Spencer. Love it. I should have music going on right now. Sorry, I'm not. Let's do it like this. Spine. You spine. Give me the spine. So I can see the number. No. So no. Yes. I'm done with this. All right, see here. That part exactly. Audio difficulties. You can't hear me? You can't hear me. All right, well, I think it's you because I don't see what else saying. Oh, the sound is. Is it because of it? Shoot. Well, I don't know what to do. Let me go out and come back in. So let me play something really quick. Yeah, StreamYard's kind of weird right now. Oh, better now? Okay, very good. Let me do this then. Remember when we were talking about DC and how they had a... All right, now it works good. Sorry about that. How they were talking about their marketing strategies. I think I saw one of their casual fan ways to try and get people to buy comic books. What did DC do, you're asking me? Well, let me tell you, Jill and I were watching this program and it never fails. There's always something that happens on it that relates to something in, my life, basically. And here we go, Jim Lee.
Please welcome world-renowned comic book artist, writer, and editor, the publisher and chief creative officer of DC, Jim Lee!
Hi, it's really nice to meet you.
Such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
I think it's a good thing that Jim Lee didn't wear his Riddler outfit. What was he there to do? He was there to, have a clue. And how does Jim Lee do anything? This is what he did.
That's truly right. Amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So if you look here, you can actually see it says hero time in the cityscape itself. I feel like that gives enough away, so I'm going to stop there and let you guys pontificate.
Thank you. I can't stop staring at my picture. It looks just like me, Jim Lee.
You were the model, Ken. I was
Thank
trying
you.
to channel you.
I really appreciate that. I did some squats.
All right, there we go. Jim Lee, there to promote DC Comics, which it was DC theme night on The Masked Singer. And oh my goodness, there you go. What about that other amazing X-Men, Eugene? What volume is that? 2. And what's it called? The World War Wendigo? Let's keep that one. Yeah. All right, we'll get this one done. This bit. Romulus. See, this is what I'm... So, Brian Edward Hill, he doesn't sell in our store. We don't want it. No, thank you. When I'm saying, like, when I get frustrated with comic books and I say it's just some person that has a female lead and they're going to be like in this, it's not that I hate a female lead. I hate to say it. It's just, it seems so samey amongst all the people. Whereas it was always the same. Now it's always the same, just doing something that isn't what it used to be. And whereas there were like very thoughtful men, it's like we knew our lane when we were doing certain comic books. Like a guy like or Paul Chadwick, who does Concrete, you know what you expect from him. He's going to be a little thinky, a little bit more emotional, a little bit more thoughtful in story than your typical run-of-the-mill superhero comic book. Even the greatest superhero comic book, you know, whether it be written by, you know, Chris Claremont or Frank Miller or something like that, it's still going to have like an air of like something that isn't like a Sam Keith comic book or an Andy Watson comic book. These are people that were doing, you know, the female leads, the Hernandez brothers back in the day. And they were few and far in between people that were doing it who were doing it well. And then, you know, you had all your other stuff. And maybe there was quality within there, varying degrees, of course. But now it just seems like, and we're going to talk about a comic book that's coming out tomorrow. And this guy is like the guy to do those kind of guys comic books. But then you got Cullen Bunn, and then you got Fred Van Lente, and then you got all these. I'm just people that we've seen recently. Brian Michael Bendis all the time doing it, setting the stage for all the things that all the other people are going to be doing all the time, you know. And it's just it's boring and it's repetitive, and I can understand why people got frustrated beforehand, but or you know, lens of today, looking back at yesterday, all that stuff. What Avengers is that I'm looking at? It looks like a Hickman one. Yeah, we want to keep that, but I do not want to keep that other Avengers book, the Mighty A. Well, actually, what volume is that? See, 3. No, we don't want it. We don't want it. We probably sold all the other ones. We kept the number, and then we were like, oh shit, probably shouldn't have got so many. A World. I don't think yeah, those aren't even like written by Hickman. No, thank you. Even if it has Thanos on it. See, now that one might have him. Cullen Bunn does good horror. Why does he get so much shit? Harrow County is really good. I just am not a big, no thank you, Eugene. I'm just not a big horror fan. So right off the bat, I'm less inclined to read his books. He did a real boring X-Men run. And I think it was X-Men Blue. Or maybe he was the gold team. I can't remember. No, I think he was the blue team. And maybe I did like that a bit, but it just wasn't my favorite. And then, you know, he does horror. Bendis, and yeah, bring him on in. Because they think Cullen can do whatever he wants at Marvel, but he can't. Well, he hasn't been at Marvel for a while. Yeah. Keep it. I mean, I kept the other one. I mean, A World Volume 1. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. Am I choppy? Keep it. Keep Sex. We'll check them out. There you go. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. Ugh. Everybody likes Gail Simone's Secret Six. We'll see if that's true, even if it is volume 2. I don't like it. And you know why? It's fucking villains. I don't read comic books, superhero comics, to read villains. Keep it. Keep all of them. 4 of them. I got 4. Hopefully that was a misship. But that's where she gets her. There's another book there. You're missing it. What are you, Diamond? Oh, I thought there was. It looks like it. Never mind. All right. I'm not doing another one. You're slowing the show down. Cook something. That's what we want. Um, at least that video worked. I'm really happy about that. Now we'll see if I get a ding on that one. Let's see. Back when Gail could write. See, I mean, I understand, but it's just she's never been like really my cup of tea. I'm not a big fan. I couple that with all the shit I say about women in comics as main character. It's just the guys writing them. You know what I mean? It's just like it's so always, and like the kinds of guys that do it, and they just usually aren't that good. And it's like, well, I wrote a girl. I wrote a woman. You want a good female lead? I Kill Giants by Joe Kelly. That one's excellent. You know what? Let's talk about new comics coming out tomorrow. I'm going to start with another person who kicks ass writing female characters. And I got to bring the pictures up. So hold on one moment. Forgot I didn't do that. This will just take a sec. And I just need to do that. And I just need to do this. All right. Actually, let's not go. Well, yeah, let's at least talk about this comic book. Let's see if I can find it. Well, we'll get down to it eventually. First up, Berserker number 12 comes out tomorrow. This is the Keanu Reeves Matt Kent book, drawn by Ron Garney. It's been slow coming out, but it got, this was like the comic book that got announced that it was going to have a Kickstarter attached to it, and it raised over $700,000 or something like that. And everybody was really impressed, but all the people that were small that used Kickstarter were very upset because, this is a platform for, creators that don't have the reach of a Keanu Reeves. Jeff Loeb, every time he goes back to comics, he has to re-earn any legacy. Like the stuff that he did before almost always doesn't get paid attention to. And what I mean is, like, if he's looking for a job, they don't care that he did that. They do if they're keeping it in print over at DC, Long Halloween, Hush, Marvel, all the colored, the Spider-Man blue, Daredevil yellow books, that type of stuff. Anyhow, Berserker 12 finally finishing up tomorrow. I unfortunately have been holding the last few issues for this one customer who was getting up there in age. He was very virile, very fit, rode a bike, but hasn't been in the last few issues. And I knew that this day was going to eventually come where the last issue came out, and this was the only book he was collecting. So I felt comfortable enough to, not worry about the fact that I didn't return the issues that I needed to return. And, I just didn't want to know what the end result is. And that's a sad thing. And I'm going to have to make that phone call tomorrow. So hopefully, pray for me. Next up, we have Justice Society of America number 3. Oh, this book seems to crawl coming out, but finally the third issue is here. Jeff Johns, Michael Janin on art. Scott Snyder is Tony Daniel on their creator-owned Image comic book. Noctera comes out tomorrow. I've been enjoying this series, but I actually didn't read the Val one-shot that bridged the issues 11 and 12, so I got to get on that. I did read this issue already. Superman Lost, hot on the heels of the regular Superman series that is so good. Written by Joshua Williamson. This one is written by a writer I really enjoy. And, we saw him on the Deathstroke that Eugene's going to be pulling for the store. Christopher Priest. He tells the story of Superman and how he went off on this mission with the Justice League went into a rift, came back, and it was 20 years later. What happened? We're going to find out. I had to use the variant cover, and it looks so good. And I'll let you know that this issue of Danger Street #4 was also very, very good. Tom King has yet to disappoint on this series. Do I expect him to do something to shock and appall me and probably get me to stop reading? Probably. But I'm hoping that that doesn't happen, or that I can get through it nonetheless. I've really been enjoying this story, and although they say that this is a little bit more lady cop driven, it's more like the same. You know, we're seeing all the different characters, and man, something crazy happens early on. So I recommend getting Danger Street. It's part of the Yule Club, where if you get them all and you read them all, and you got to be timely, come in, talk with me about it. I'm going to give you some credit. More than just like congratulations, but like $5 credit. So you're costing yourself a good story, great art by Jorge Fornes, and money that you can use to another comic book. Maybe it will be Avengers Forever. No, just joking. This is the last issue. It's the penultimate Avengers Assemble storyline. The last Jason Aaron Avengers to come out will be Avengers Forever Omega or Assemble or whatever the hell it's going to be called. Just one issue, one more issue. This will all be over. And then I'll have to decide what I'm going to do with my Avengers issues. Next up, we have TMNT, The Last Ronin, Lost Years #2. Not unlike the last series called Last Ronin, this one's a little late coming out also. I know some people weren't really thrilled with the first issue, and I did lower my numbers a bit. So if you're a fan of this book and you don't already have it on pull, you might want to come in early. This was upsetting. I recently, because of Wes and I think Jim, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it was Jim. Wes at Thinking Critical, and let me put that banner up, scrolling down on the bottom for you. These are YouTube channels that I appreciate. Not all of them are comic related, but one of them specifically is Thinking Critical. Wes, owner of the channel, has me on from time to time. I was on last week. I told you that earlier. He did a video about Wonder Woman and this milk storyline where they were poisoning the milk to make everybody fall in line with the Olympian gods. And Wonder Woman and her cohorts, Steve Trevor and I guess Cheetah and Candy, they all interfered, and Ares got involved. And at the end of the last issue, I think Zeus's head was cut off. And then it said it was going to be continued in DC Universe Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods, which is the limited series. And I'm like, no, thank you. So even though I got left on that cliffhanger, fuck this shit. But I know you Wonder Woman people out there are going to want to read it. So I'm going to pull it aside for you. Frank Miller, one of the last companies to pledge dying loyalty to Diamond. Oh, wait, that's not his book. I don't have them posted in quite the, so I know what's going on. Let me get this one. So, Frank Miller, Ancient Enemies, The Genie, is a side story of the Ancient Enemies Dan Didio comic book that comes out through Frank Miller Presents. This one is written by Kevin Van Hook, so you Valiant 90s fan folks out there might want to give it a try just for that. I don't know, man. Those pants. Is he expecting floods or anything like that? All right, now Immoral X-Men. This is more of the Sins of Sinister thing that I personally have dropped. I'm not reading them, but I just can't do it. I'm reading X-Men, but that's about it. Let's go to chat right here. Nice. How many covers are there? There's a ton. Yes, Rucker writes good females. Yes. He even made a speech about writing stories. He was the first to get the backlash in the early days. Wait, what? Keanu? Or I don't know what that means. I need more than that. 20 covers for issue 1. They have a new set of 10 foils. Eric July sold more than Keanu. Keanu had a record for the highest grossing crowdfund. Well, Eric July, let me get my picture on this one. Eric July had a motivated built-in fan base, and he sold a ton of issues at an increased price. The thing I'll give him is that he printed them up beforehand and then just needed to print more to meet the demand that was needed. Bravo. I hope it was good. And we'll see where the second issue goes, because keeping just like what I would expect if I were him, if I sold 35,000 books like he did, I would expect half of that. Maybe if you're lucky, 70% of that. But you're not going to get all of it again. I mean, very rarely. Or you got to manufacture some hate. They hate me. They want to keep me from succeeding. Help me out. My success is your success. Speaking of which, give freely to our Patreon. Wildcats number 5. I've been enjoying a Rosenberg comic book. Don't harsh my mellow on this. And Segovia's art's been pretty cool. I feel like Cole Cash has been a little all over the place, like brash and not really focusing on the team aspect. He doesn't have the loyalty to Zealot, who has the loyalty to Emp. So that's kind of a thing that is missing from Wildcats. But I do love I love the shit he's getting himself into. I feel like Porky Pig right now. All right, for those of you that are not enjoying Avengers by Jason Aaron and want something a little bit more classic, you should check out the Paul Levitz written, Alan Davis drawn Avengers War Across Time. I personally have been saving them up because some things I just gotta stack up. I can't read them all as they come out. And this is one that I'm doing that for. But I love Alan Davis. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Paul Evans is great too. Love his Legion. Bishop War College number 2 comes out. I sold out of number 1. People enjoyed the idea of Black X-Men. Although there's a lot of people that didn't enjoy the concept of Black X-Men. And the ones I pay attention to that say that also said it's because it's an alternate history or an alternate world. And we know ultimately Bishop's going to be where the white X-Men are. And these Black X-Men really, unless we're doing some multiversal crossover bullshit, aren't going to amount to anything. But I actually like the first issue anyway. I know it's hokey and you're doing like all this T2 stuff and whatnot, but it's kind of what Bishop's all about. So I was okay with the first issue and I think you should check it out. Black X-Men. Hellcat number 1. Fresh off killing Iron Man, Tony Stark. Weren't they supposed to get married? Finally, the comic book that Christopher Cantwell really wanted to write when he was doing Iron Man, Hellcat. I loved her in The Defenders, but ever since, actually, I liked her in Charles Soule's She-Hulk also. That was fun stuff. But overall, Hellcat's just kind of a boring character. Hook her up back up with the Son of Satan. That'd be cool. The Excellent #1. Holy cow. I've loved the Ecstatics. Before that, it was X-Force. Peter Milligan, Michael Allred, that came back and did a 6-issue, or was it 5 last time, of the Excellent. It's the old team of Ecstatics taking on the new team of Ecstatics, but calling themselves Excellent. And it's not really the old team. It's more like, this is the daughter of Edie. Oh, well, it's still Dupe, but there's a dark Dupe on the other side. Dupe on the other side. And I guess Dead Girl's still around also. Finally, we get to the book I was talking about, alluding to. Greg Rucka's Forged. All right, what you don't see here is that this book is magazine sized. Let's get this out for you. So let's see. I have this X-Men comic book that you guys saw earlier. Let me just take this down. And oh damn, why did I do that? I put it back in the plastic case, so it's kind of like divoted in. It's just the stuff. This paper on the cover is kind of but I understand it's it's magazine, so what are you going to do? So here's the cover, and then there's the Forged book. When this is the extra plastic right here, but Forged is just that much bigger. So we got a magazine, and it's space themed, and it's like we're following these mercenaries that are on this ship. I guess they're kind of like mercenaries. They're like the attack squad. And I think it's mostly all these women that are involved in it. But there's a captain of the ship, and there's this empress that kind of leads things. And it's like weird that she would be on the ship. I read about 3/4 of this, and it also has all this back matter that's all about, the world that we're reading about. So this is something that you're going to want to take some time with and probably reread. And there's probably going to be some wait till the second issue comes out. But if you've liked Greg Rucka in the past, and who's doing the art? This is Mike Henderson. If I'm not mistaken, Mike Henderson was the one that worked on one of those Scott Snyder books or something like that. Anyway, The Forged, I've enjoyed what I've read of the first issue, and I love the magazine. They even, when they're pimping the book, they talk about heavy metal and stuff like that. And you totally get that concept here. There's a little bit of nudity. There's a little bit of sexual interactions going on, but it's a little bit more mindy than it is actual. Nonetheless, this is probably definitely not for anybody younger than 16. But it's not too adult, but there's a lot of F words in it. So, your mileage may vary, but The Forged first issue, I've liked what I've read so far. And since I'm showing you stuff that's right here, let me just put that there. This is coming out tomorrow for younger readers. We've got the 25th and a half anniversary edition of Captain Underpants, with a new Dogman comic book. So, you know what I mean? Fantagraphics, who put out a Muhammad Ali biography, are going to be doing an Angela Davis, Miss Davis biography. I've already looked through it. The art's fantastic. It's kind of what you'd expect. It's kind of like telling the story, and then this person did this, and then this happened, and then these are like the scenes that are going on. But I like. Look at that's great. You're gonna know all these characters from MSNBC right there. And then lastly, is this lastly? Oh no, there's two more like this. There's Beowulf, or Beowulf, and it's cute. This is some nice stuff. It is in black and white, but it's basically telling the story of Beowulf with, little kid characters. And isn't that awesome? I love that. And then High Fructose. This is an art magazine that a Bay Area local put together, and it's been going on for years now. Issue 66, Attaboy. And there's just like, really crazy artwork by all sorts of people. They show installations. It used to be a little bit more focused on toys, but you gotta get past it eventually, kids. And now back to comic books. Poo Poo Pee Pee, or Pee Pee Poo Poo, comes out tomorrow. This is by Silver Sprocket, and I like they got this, this keep on trucking looking cover going on, and it's issue 69. Don't worry, there were not 68 other issues. And I looked through it and it looks really cool. This is also magazine sized. Another Yule Club book. This is the last issue, so you have a week to read them all, and get back to me on it if you want to get that $5 credit. Flux Houses, that's Matt Kent's company within Dark Horse. Spy Superb number 3. Wow, the second issue. The first issue was good, but the second issue was beautiful. Just, you gotta like Matt Kent's artwork, but I mean, he really does some great stuff in that, and I just love reading this story. Matt Kent is a really, really solid comic book creator, and he has a style that's different than almost anybody out there, and I really, really like his work. So I highly recommend Spy Superb. I do have more issues of 1 and 2, so you can get caught up. Someone asked me in chat if we had Danger Street 1 and 2 and 3, and yes, we do, and do. Hulk number 13. We are nearing the end of this Hulk run. Philip Kennedy Johnson and Nick Klein from Thor are going to be taking over with a brand new number 1. Don't quit it just because of that. And don't quit this just because Ryan Utley's doing the writing. He should get a chance and you should pay attention. Plus, there's been a lot of smashing, and of course you expect that from a Hulk story. They're still doing that stupid thing where there's the Hulk robot that they're all in, but we're almost done with it. I'm gonna let you know that this is the 5th part of Captain Marvel, and we keep selling, or this is a Brood storyline, Revenge of the Brood, and we keep selling out of it. So I have my number. So if you've been reading the X-Men lately, the Brood's involved over there, and they're trying to let you know that this is going on. So I am too. Darkwing Duck number 3. Let's get dangerous. I haven't been reading it, but I have been collecting it. I'm not going to let it build up like the Avengers, so expect a big ol' review of it soon. Harley Screws Up the DCU, a brand new miniseries, and I'm sure this is very much exactly like it sounds. It's Thierry, Frank Thierry, and Jay Faber, but I don't see an artist. Is Jay Faber doing the art? Interesting. Star Trek Defiant. Now, this gets me. This is a quality control situation, I think. The Star Trek that has Cisco in it is him getting all these Star Trek characters from like different areas, and they're fighting like something going on. And then this one is Worf getting all these other Star Trek characters together to go and fight something going on. A little strange. All right, 2 more, everybody. Both Image. No One by Kyle Higgins. Let's see who the artist is. It's Buccellato and Borges. I think Brian Buccellato. Let's see if I'm right on that. Yeah, I think I am. He's usually writing and coloring, so it must be Borges on art. Nonetheless, No One is a true crime superhero story, supposedly, and it's set in the Massive Verse. So that's that. It's all over the place, but there's these superheroes that are all contained in this one universe, different creators. The thing about this one is there's a podcast to go along with it. And I'm not sure if one of the characters in the book is portrayed on the podcast, but that's going to be coming out monthly also. Kyle Higgins is a pretty cool writer, and if you've read his Power Rangers, you might want to check this out. He also did Cal for Image back in a day. He also worked on, he was like, before Tynion, it was Higgins that was like the heir apparent to Scott Snyder, it seemed. And I like this cover a lot. The Massiverse is interesting. I like the idea of a connected universe, but it's really tough when it's not Marvel and DC. So, all those Radiant books and the pinks and the blacks and the blues and whatever, all part of the Massiverse, and this is yet another one. And then, last but not least, we have issue number 3 of Black Cloak. I'm paying attention to how many of you are paying for this or buying this, and I'm cutting my numbers significantly if it doesn't pick up. Or I know exactly how many I need is really what I mean. And if you haven't seen other comic books on this list, it probably means I have gotten to the point where, like Little Monsters, I just know there's X amount of people that want to read that book, and we're on like the 8th or 10th or 15th issue of something. I got to make the I can't have Eugene coming in and telling me, which of these do we want, which ones don't we want anymore. But this is Kelly Thompson's first creator-owned comic book, if I'm not mistaken. And her and Meredith McLaren are doing this sci-fi, fantasy, detective, police kind of storyline. Procedural, if you will. And that is new comic books for tomorrow, for next week. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let me check chat. Talking Soul says Danger Street is possibly the best book of the year already. I know this because we've talked about it in the store. I'm down to 2 DD books. First Bullseye, first Elektra. Excellent. Mazzucchelli or Frank Miller? Who draws a better DD? Frank Miller is, well, they both have their own style. Maybe Frank Miller leans into it more than Mazzucchelli did, but we know that Mazzucchelli is just a fine artist. And the fact that he lent any time to Daredevil and mainstream comics, we were lucky. And probably working with Frank Miller inspired him a bit, but Frank Miller was inspired by a ton of people also. So I'm going to lean towards Mazzucchelli just on some of the stuff that he did out of Frank Miller's purview. Wild Dinosaur, welcome. I just got TMNT Last Run in hardback and loving it so far. I got to admit, I haven't read it yet. That might be a retiring comic book for me. Talking Soul says hands down Mazzucchelli, and Ryan Hudson says Last Ronin is the shit. I like Miller's panels better, but that's a lot of Jansen in those finished pages. Definitely towards the end. Also, Jansen was heavily influenced not only Frank Miller but John Romita Jr. And he might be the real genius behind Daredevil. Elithidor is here to say, they're going to make me buy the last issue of this awful Sins of Sinister story for the Alex Ross Apocalypse cover. The characters that they chose for the comic books that they chose are very upsetting. And then they also did that with those Disney Marvel parody covers. Those are all on the Spider-Man, so the Spider-Man sales look better than it really is. It kind of stinks. I agree, Fantinuum. That is a nice Wildcats cover. War Across Time has been great. There you go. I still have issue 1 and 2, and 3 comes out tomorrow. Why do they keep pushing Hellcat? Does anybody like that character as a copyright thing? I think people like it. And actually, a woman that I know who is more like the boys when it comes to superhero comics told me that she actually really enjoyed the Kate Leth Hellcat. Now, she kind of said it sheepishly and kind of like, oh, I know, or, sue me, but she obviously likes the character. And Kate Leth ones did enough for her that it was okay. I do like the character, at least a little bit. I don't like when her, but they also don't have to, de-emphasize it also. Let her have some traits. Traits equals boobs. Wide panels equals TV pitch. All right, very good. I like Lazarus, but I need to get through it. I've read some Lazarus and it was fine. It's just I don't care as much. Is it the same size as the Tick? It's more like the Tick, yes. It might even be a little bit bigger. Let's see. Look at Data's dumb expression. Oh, that's right. Higgins wrote the new Nightwing 52. Unfortunate color in the costume of Nightwing. Most people didn't like it. And yes, you did, Jill. You missed the slab crack. I get more feeling from Miller, huh? All right. Very good. Let's go to a brand new feature. Well, it's not brand new, but it's one I've been doing recently. I want to embrace the concept of the comics church. Here we go.
He's alright. 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 He's alright.
All right, everybody. I'd like to manifest something in comics right now. I would like to suggest that even though the journalism in comics isn't that good, it is not hard to check your sources. And if you are going off something that by somebody that doesn't know anything, it's probably not a very good source. In journalism, I do believe it's 3. You're supposed to have 3. And I understand that, there's the New York Post and Fox News and MSNBC and all the people that say, hey, I've got a talking head that's a representative of this organization, and they're going to tell me some information, and then I'm going to say that information, and then another person that works for me is then going to spout it like I am one of those sources now. And that ain't cool. Get it from a newspaper. Get it from somebody that is in the administration, if you will. And try and get somebody that got physically or, somewhat affected by what you're talking about. Those would be the 3 things right there. But it's not funny. It's just upsetting. I'm going to start with funny, though. And I'm going to say, remember when Chris Arant, who used to work for all sorts of publications and I think Oni, he said now would be a good time to note if there's comics journalism you like. You might even want to give to them financially. And then said, if you wait for perfect, you'll be waiting a long time. And that's where I think most people probably take exception to the whole thing. What you're telling me is to put money into something that we know is not passable, and that we should give money just because it isn't perfect. Your ball team sucks and the owner doesn't want to put any money into it whatsoever. Yeah. It's better than nothing, right? No, bullshit. What got said? It's been, and I'm going to show a picture of Joe, friend of the show, Joe. Joe is here with his co-writer. I can't remember the name of the book. That's Rachel Pollack, and the name of their book was Holy Cow. I got too many pictures here, and I was going to bring that up, and I didn't do it. Here it is. It's called The Never Ending Party, and that was a comicsology book. I'm sure DC or Dark Horse is going to be putting a physical copy of it, but Rachel Pollack is his partner on the book, and she is not doing well. She's in hospice care. She had gotten out of, I think, hospice care, and there was a GoFundMe, and it did well, and it was really awesome that people were able to give it, and it's just the end of life. We spend money at end of life, and we try and hang on for those, those precious last few minutes that we can get. And it's a sad moment that, people were reporting that, she was dying or about to, these are the last days. We're also hearing it with President Carter, not me, Yule Carter, President Jimmy Carter. And he's also in hospice care. And that's sad. These are pretty cool people. And it's a bummer. But the only thing that really is upsetting is that he could have talked to me. I feel like I could get up there and orate properly for Jimmy. I don't think we necessarily need his buddy Joe Biden to do it for him. Give a eulogy. I mean, who should be giving a eulogy other than a guy named Yule? You know what I mean, right? Carter, I've had to put up with that name for a long time. Let me tell you, living through the 70s. I don't even know why I was being embarrassed. Speaking of embarrassing, when Neil Gaiman comes out and says someone is wrong about saying that somebody died, that's embarrassing. And this was Comics Watch HQ. And Comics Watch HQ is setting up like it's I don't know if they're saying they're an authority on comics, but I'm pretty sure they probably have some gift giving thing going on. And when they're out there saying that she already kicked the bucket, they ain't really cool. So check your sources. And with that, that's my manifesting comics for the day. Just check your sources. And we're going to have Joe on soon, we'll say, just for those of you that are interested. There were comments on the last show that I would like to get to right now. Also, Christine, who is a customer of this show, she said that she thought the Mystery Machine is Fred's van, but that Shaggy might live in it. We also had Nicholas Russ say, "You'll love the channel. Emma Kubert is Andy's daughter." There you go. See, I didn't know that. I had heard she wasn't related to Kuberts, and I just didn't want to go out there and stick my neck out there yet. Heroinberg, who does a comic book that we carry in the store, convention prices, sure, I just paid quite a bit for a single table at a mid-sized convention. So yes, those prices are getting pretty high, but I'm sure that's not what you meant. And that this show makes great breakfast viewing. I think the comic is just Heroinberg. And let me see if I can, let me see if that, yeah. Heroin, not heroin, heroine. Berg. The other one, I mean, I would really be down. No, I'm just joking. Let's see. Cartoon Network would do marathons of Scooby-Doo and have small VH1 pop-ups of Scooby-Doo facts, like that Fred has 2 different sized feet, silly stuff like that. So I'm guessing nothing about Cartoon Network saying anything about Fred's van. Also, in a previous episode, Christine had asked if there was anything that followed the Doom Patrol that Grant Morrison wrote. And yes, there is something. Unfortunately, the only way to get it other than pirating it, if you want a physical copy of it, is to either get the issues, and not all of them are available and easy to get. For the most part, they're going to be fairly cheap, $3, $4, $5 a piece. But some of the ones can be difficult to get. But if you're willing to spend $100, Rachel Pollack's Doom Patrol has been collected in an omnibus. She was a letter writer in the Grant Morrison Doom Patrol and got the job, maybe not solely based on her letters, but definitely the people that were going to be reading the book later knew her, and partially because of those letters. Rachel Pollack's also big in tarot, and I guess she has a whole other fandom of people that I don't know anything about. Tarot a little bit. I can probably talk with somebody about the nuttiness of it, just as long as it isn't the Jim Ballant book. Doom Patrol, I can only speak to a little bit when it comes to the Rachel Pollack work. It is difficult following Grant Morrison's greatness. Even when Grant Morrison isn't at his greatest, it's still hard following him. And I would not recommend anybody follow somebody great. I mean, it has colored my perception of Ron Lim having to follow George Perez on Infinity Gauntlet and Marshall Rogers on Silver Surfer, to the point where I just can never put him in a higher tier of artist. He's definitely above Al Milgrom, but not far above him. And then having to live up to those other people, Rachel Pollack following Grant Morrison, a lot of this I just felt was weird for weird's sake, or trying to be Grant Morrison. But the thing is like, she is an acolyte of sorts, and she was putting her own spin on it. I just didn't know it until many years later. And it's not always the spin I necessarily am interested in. And I'm just being honest here. I think that I am a guy that can read and experience and listen and view other people's points of view and other types of styles of things. But there are going to be things that I personally like more than other things. And there's only so much of it I'm going to put up with. But since Doom Patrol is powerful in my life, and I've been collecting the issues to get the rest of her stuff. Now that this is available, I was really happy to have it. And I broke into just a random issue, and I kind of just opened up and was reading it. And I'm like, I needed to give this a second chance anyway. And I can't wait to eventually have a real strong Doom Patrol read through Grant Morrison, through Rachel Pollack, probably read the Arcudi issues and maybe the Daniel Way stuff also again. So I'm looking forward to doing that someday, and I'm really looking forward to really experiencing the Rachel Pollack Doom Patrol. And I'm personally glad to have this book, and I think you guys would too, especially if you like Doom Patrol and the nuttiness. I mean, this is probably something you're going to want. And there's a lot of Richard Case and other good artwork in this too, just by more Vertigo style people. And so there is another Doom Patrol to read, but you better tell me you want that fast, because I don't think it's going to be around forever. And reprints, especially with something like there's more likelihood to be a Grant Morrison reprint on a Doom Patrol than a Rachel Pollack. They're more likely to go back to print with Gerard Way, I should say. It was Gerard Way. Because, he's younger, he's still doing stuff for the company, he's still on their minds. And it's just kind of the shitty thing that happens when, creators get older and, they phase out, and new people. The thing about Rachel Pollack was, she's a trans woman. That's not a big thing. Nobody made a big deal about it. That's how it kind of felt. You know what I mean? This was not a big thing. It only until things became more like we were wearing what we were, or who, more than who we are, just kind of like what we are on our sleeves, where we started I had an idea where I thought there'd be this really cool shirt. We're going to think of the Legion of Superheroes. Legion of Superheroes all have symbols that coordinate with their name. And when they're on active duty, you would see their names lit up on the big screen. And then there would be the other ones. And where were they? And over here, and, whatnot. And so my idea was, we would have a diagram for everything. And it would all be on a shirt. And so it could be all the things that you were, whatever you wanted to identify as. We get all the block. And it'd just be in little blocks. And it would just be like, oh, my God, I have to read a shit ton of stuff to figure out what the fuck you are. I think we'd make a shit ton of money on these shirts. But I know there's going to be certain ones there's only going to be a few of. I never found a Yule license plate when I was at Disneyland. So get over it, people. Let's see. Okay, Corey's here. Yay! And Commander Cody says that Chris Arant's clown. I agree. Russell Brown shredded corporate media on that Bill Maher show. It was a great clip. Russell Brand uses manipulation to force his opinion as facts. He raises his voice to talk over, then torches people, and uses first names. Touches people, uses first names, and uses loud talk to distract when he is wrong. When he, capital He, is wrong. I never was that into him, and I know he's gotten a little bit more lippy lately, but what are you going to do? You know who got lippy is that guy that played on The Office, the American one. He said something about Last of Us being anti-Christian or something like that. Whatever. Let's see. Joe and Perch need to do Friday live streams again. I totally agree. Heroin. Not heroin is better than heroines. I guess it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I was reading the original creator of Doom Patrol accusing Stan of copying the concept to create X-Men. And yeah, that's Gerard Way from Chemical Romance. Yeah, he did a Doom Patrol, and he is definitely a Grant Morrison acolyte. He did 2 volumes under the Young Animal imprint. And they even did a song that I have a cassette tape for that he did for another book he wrote. All right. We're going to do this one fast. Okay. This is for all you people that are interested in Danger Street and you found out that these were all part of DC's first issue specials. This is what we like to call
Here! I'm down here! Down here!
Mr. Sheldon?
That's right. Let's take a trip down to Mother's basement. There we go. We're in the basement, or the cellar. We are going to talk about... Oh, I can't do that one. We are going to be talking about Lady Cop #1. Who's excited about this? I know Talking Soul is. Yes, the Doom Patrol predates the X-Men. And since we're talking about Lady Cop because of Danger Street and the first issue specials, which Danger Street is involving all the characters from the DC first issue specials, we're going to be talking about Lady Cop. And the thing about Lady Cop is it came out in 5, I think it was. We'll see on the second or in the next page. But what predates Lady Cop, and I mean, I think we're going to see a whole bunch of similarities to just this opening sequence of this television show that came out the year before. Yeah, Angie Dickinson, everybody. I think she could have played Lady Cop easy, especially when you see what goes on in here. Jesus. So Lady Cop starts off with this young woman hiding under a bed as this skull-booted killer drops ace of spades behind his victims that he killed. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty horrific. And then, she's talking to the cops afterwards. This one female cop says, "You have a really good attention to detail. And you might want to use this to, maybe possibly, become a cop." And, lady cop's like, huh. Well, lady cop, her name's Eliza, I think. She has a dream of the killer. And then eventually this does, bring her to become a cop. And they're teaching her about how to use a pistol. I like this guy. It's a weapon to arrest, not to punish. And then she's like, "Always remember, a clear conscience is the softest pillow." And we just go through her entire training. Here she is learning judo, learning to shoot, answering your questions, finally graduating. At her graduation, this dude's like, "You guys flunked me from the academy." So obviously he's going to be a mall cop someday. If he didn't bring a grenade to the ceremony. Thankfully, Lady Cop's awesome, and she trips that dude, gets the grenade, it's live, throws it in a trash can. Welcome to the force. Well done, Officer Warner. So her name's Liza Warner. And then we finally get the title page. Lady Cop in Poisoned Love. So she's on top of a building, and she sees this young girl getting accosted by this dude. Lady Cop, without a gun, without a baton, without anything, she gets all in the way. Another dude comes up from behind and grabs her. And what do these guys do? Well, the one guy who was accosting the other woman, he just totally puts a lip lock on her. And then she kicks him down low. I think leg low. And then she knocks out the other dude. And puts her hat back on. And I think that's totally an Angie Dickinson pose right there, putting her hat back on. Anyway, she just continues to work her beat. I don't know if this is all one day or a pastiche of her beginning of her career. Maybe this is like the first week. But she's like, "I should get combat pay for this." And then here she is being a good Samaritan. She sees this person of color standing by the ice cream vendor and I think she takes, she's a little presumptuous, saying, "A double scoop of chocolate with all the trimmings." Maybe this little girl doesn't like a Jimmy's on her ice cream. Doesn't like cherries. I mean, I don't know a little kid that doesn't like little cherries on stuff, but still, chocolate ice cream? Well, she's allergic. But she's cool. She gets called by this Hispanic woman, Latin woman, and she goes to investigate. She's still looking for the girl that was accosted. She sees her on the phone, chases her. She loses her. But this grocer is been stabbed. And Lady Cop goes and says, "Drop that knife," doesn't pull out a gun. She even gets a little slice on her arm. But she's able to take the dude down. Looks like a throat punch there. And then she even gives, and I don't know if a wound from being stabbed is important enough to give mouth to mouth, but thankfully she did, because when the ambulance came, they were able to save this dude's life. And then, like, the day's over, and they're like, finally, she gets to become a lady. And she meets her beau, and he's like, "Let's go to the beach." And they're like on a little vacation. And he's like, "I don't know if I really like you being a cop." And she's like, "Eh." And he's like, "I can't marry a working man." And she's all woman. I don't even understand why he said man. It's really weird. And he's all, "I can't live with someone on duty 24 hours a day." And she's like, eh. It's funny because Jill and I have been watching Hill Street Blues, and one of the characters is kind of having this conversation with his cop wife also. And he was like a little like, possessive, and like, "I don't like you doing this. You should be working the desk and whatnot." But, you know, Lady Cop, she wants to go out there and do some good and, you know, walking the pavements the way it's going to happen. Anyway, she finally finds this girl, and she's young. And not only that, she has a VD, or at least she thinks she does, because the dude that was, you know, getting all handsy with her did. And she's all, what am I going to do? And she's like, I'll help you out. You know, I'll help you tell your dad, you know, you're going to get checked out and all this other stuff. So finally they go and they tell her doc working dad, you know, Lady Cop stands up for his daughter, and then dude fucking punches her just like that. Lady Cop stands up to it, and she's like, doesn't pull her gun out or anything, doesn't arrest this guy for hitting her or anything like that. But she's like, you gotta fucking take care of your daughter. She could have some serious problems, but this whole thing can be taken care of. Just don't be an asshole anymore. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. This is my fault. Lady Cop is unexpectedly attacked by those dudes from before, or one of the dudes from before, but she's able to take the chain out of dude's hand. They go in the water, and guess what? Guy can't swim. So Lady Cop ends up saving him even as he's getting arrested. And then she wonders at the end, will I ever find the killer in boots? And really, seriously, don't you think that Lady Cop should have been, like, that's what the story should have been? Like 3 pages of her graduating police academy and then going on and finding this killer. That would be probably what I would have done as a story. But, you know, that's a thing that, like, could have been acted out on a little bit more. Maybe, you know, it could have been in a Superman story or a Batman story, or maybe, like, since you have other characters in the Batman books at the time, maybe one of the side characters like Batgirl, or one of like, what if it was who's the slobby cop? I can't think of his name right now in Batman, but you know, he would, yeah, that would be good. But there you go. That's Lady Cop. And I assume that the Green Team and the Manhunter and all that other stuff is going to suck just as bad. But I did like that it had an inkling of something that could possibly be something later on. It's just a shame, like after 30 years, nothing did. And Tom King's just going to take that character and probably ignore all that stuff. Or maybe just possibly this will actually make a difference. But she's really dealing with the dingbats. We're going to get back to what you have to say in just a moment, but I'd like to play this video. It's almost the end of the show, everyone. But first, I want to let everybody know that I am super, super thankful, especially, to all the people that have subscribed lately, to all the people that have helped get us over the hump, not just subscribers, but Wes. I've gotten help from Dr. Post a lot and all sorts of people, including myself. Way to go, Yule. But everybody that's helped out over the years, and even most recently, and of course, most importantly, to all our patrons. You give us money for nothing, basically, just for being here. Maybe we were formerly your store where you shopped at. Maybe you're sad you can't shop here anymore, or maybe you're just rich and just want to give money to stores and say, please give us money. This is the way to do it. If you want a free, better version of Patreon, check out our Substack. I would highly recommend it. We put some interesting information. We had a winner for a Too Much Coffee Man mug last week. The great Beck is going to be coming into the store to pick it up, and I can't wait to meet Beck. This is going to be great. I'm so excited. I've enjoyed the music ever since it came out. Ever since Loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? But yeah, thanks to all of you. Couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do it without everybody. But let's really be real. When I need a new camera, and I probably need a new camera, this is where I go. The patrons that helped us out. Got a microphone that works pretty well some of the time. Because of Patreon, and the patrons that do it. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had a couple more things I wanted to talk about really quick, but first we're going to get to these comments. Talking Soul says Spider-Man and Marvel team up calls a Jean DeWolf lady cop. There you go. Boom. I like this style of art, like Ross Andrew. Yeah. Who was that? That was, let's see if I can find the title page. It was number 2. It's not the title page, but it's John Rosenberger and Vinnie Coletta on inks. And yeah, this was 75, so a year after Policewoman and Angie Dickinson. All right. Let's see here. How's your father? Says. Let me get this brand in. Lady Cop beating down all those ripped dudes. Might as well give her a superpower for sure. But when you know the techniques of judo, you should be. Give me a break. There's a few things in there, but it's not too, cringy. I think if I had to say something was cringy, it was the way the story was told. And I mean, the idea that I mean, this is superhero comic booking perfectly. She witnessed something horrible that has affected her to the point where she wants to do something about it. And then she does. Boom. It's not Clarice Starling level, but, you know, I think it could be cool. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I agree. You know, it can get a little ridiculous from time to time, especially when we're not talking about superhero comic books. It is. It was a really well drawn book. I thought every hard angle you can imagine is drawn and pulled off in the story. I agree. Did female cops ever wear those skirts? Seems like something meter maids wore. I think you may be right. But I also think I remember Jill bitching one time about we were watching something and she was like, why is this person wearing a skirt? It makes it makes no sense. And then I know it's different. It's FBI or whatever, but Scully wore skirts sometimes. So that was a thing. Yeah, they probably did. Even like, you know, when the men went off to war and the women, you know, maybe watched some League of Your Own, you know, they wore little skirts also. They forgot to add the shiner she got from that longshoreman. He should. I mean, holy cow, how'd she stand up to that dude? I mean, he was just like, bam! But she's just like, Vinnie Coletta, the guy who ruined Kirby's pencils, for sure. I mean, he ruined Kirby's pencils. Anybody could ink Kirby. He put all the work in there for you already, just didn't ink it himself. And Vinny just took, like, you know, big old Marks-a-Lots and finished the job. But, you know, Stan was a can I say it? Slave driver? He was a slave driver, and you got to get that shit done. So Vinny did. And yes, he helped. Not the only person to ruin Jack Kirby's artwork. Geez, we've been going over an hour and a half a lot lately, and this wasn't even a real heavily planned, crazy episode. Thank you, everybody that joined us today. We had 20. Well, I was one of them, 20 at one time. That's awesome. Thanks for the conversation in the chat. For those of you that are listening after the fact, hopefully I've addressed you enough to where you already are planning on putting some comments down there. And let me know what you thought of Lady Cop. Let me know what you think of Danger Street, especially if you don't read Tom King necessarily or normally, but have been intrigued enough to pick it up now because of what we said. I do really, really like that story, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And I'm happy to have told you about Lady Cop, issue number 4 of DC First Issue Specials. Later, How's Your Father? Later, Jill. And let me leave you with this little song that I play at the end of each episode. Hopefully this works out.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the treats from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions, and just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona kept trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous